Xiang Bin was walking towards the stadium along a small corridor. Along with her was a tall, slender girl who had a brown bob. Xiang Bin thought about the fact that she had to leave Tianshuan City for a while. Is this teacher Zhang crazy? How did he even think of competing with teacher Lu? The brown-haired girl asked her friend what was she thinking. She is walking so fast, is everything all right? Shanbi asked indignantly. What was going on in that Zhang's head when he agreed to all this? She looked down over the railing and pointed at Zhang, who was talking to his students. She added that he had only recently gotten rid of his shame, but he was once again meddling where he wasn't asked. Once he loses, his success will crumble. The brown-haired girl put her hand under her head, leaned on the railing, and said with a smile that it seems her friend is worried about him. Shenbi asked in surprise, "Who needs that one?" The girl slyly looked at her friend and said that she thought their beautiful Shenbi had fallen in love. She then asked her who she thought which one of them would win. Shenbi looked at the stadium with a serious look and replied that Zhang's students were not bad, but teacher Lu picked enemies to push the weaknesses of his opponents. The brown-haired girl added that Lu Sen organized his fight so properly, as if by textbook, but that was good for a teacher. Shenbi looked at Wang Yin and Zhao Yao, who were smiling and ready to fight. The teacher asked in surprise, had Zhang's disciples really reached the second rank? Was it possible in just half a month? They are quite capable of fighting. The brown-haired girl pointed her finger in the other direction and told her friend to look at teacher Lu and her students. Have they all reached the third rank? Lu Sen walked forward with a serious expression, and behind him were 5 guys: Zhu Hong, Du Lei, Kun Jie, Mo Xiao, Bai Chao. Shenbi said that at the third rank, a warrior is able to channel qi through his body, so how can Zhang's disciples win against warriors who have a 300 ding punch? Ouyang Chung stroked his beard in surprise and asked, would rank 2 really be against rank 3? This is a bad formation. Chen Xiao grabbed his head and added that the difference between the two is huge. He has no chance. An elderly old man told his son that a similar master Zhang would lose. And his son, who had green hair, fanning himself, gloatingly thought that they would see how someone would twist this time. Master Lu, sitting next to him, irritably told his friend Yuan Yu that this kid had really bothered Master Zhang. The agitated man told him to be quiet and calm. A host came to the center of the stadium and announced that today's rookie tournament. They will hold a competition between mentors, teacher evaluation between Lu Sen and Zhang Huang. Teacher evaluation is a battle between students. Teachers are not allowed to take part in it. Zhang Huang, who was standing with his disciples outside the ring, asked them who would go first. Yuan Dao asked with a smile on his face that he should be allowed to be the first. He had been waiting for this for several days now. His teacher told him to go first then. Seeing that Yuan Dao had entered the ring, Lu Sen told Kun Jie to come out. The guy did so. With an annoyed expression on his face, Lu Sen told his disciple to beat the spirit out of the academy's worst disciple. Now the fellow would learn who it was to go up against a third-ranked disciple. Entering the ring and stretching his arms, Kun Ji said with a sneer, "It seems like teacher Zhang really is dumb as a cork. The strongest ones are usually let in first to boost the morale of the team." With a sneer, Wang Chao said that he had chosen the most useless in his disciples from the beginning. Did he really admit defeat? Standing beside him, Elder Hong Hao added that a warrior at the peak of the first rank against a warrior of the third rank was a no-brainer. He added that a warrior at the peak of the first rank would barely have 90 din of strength in a strike. Third rank, even at the initial stage, have 300 din of power in a hit. The difference is more than 3 times. He would be surprised if Zhang's disciple could withstand 3 breaths against such an opponent. If Kun Jie is serious from the start, he will slaughter this kid in seconds. There's no intrigue in the first fight. Facing each other, Yuan Dao scratched the back of his head and said to Brother Kun with a smile, "He can already see that he is a weak warrior, can't resist against him. Let him be gentle with him." Kun Jie said with a smile that he never gives in battle. Let the one admit defeat, or he above will bring him back from the ring by force. Let him choose. Yuan Dao asked that the one above will throw him out. He can't give up, but since the one won't give in, he shouldn't either. The guy grinned, showing his teeth. Hearing this, Kun Ji said with a smile that it was nonsense, and then he rushed forward. While grinning, he thought that according to Teacher Lu's information, this disciple is useless. He doesn't know anything about martial arts. He's been banging his head against a pole all day. Now his iron fist is going to bring his head in. In the next instant, he slapped the guy's cheek with all his might, but Yuan Dao didn't budge and only touched his cheek with his finger. Calmly asked what the guy is doing. Is he trying to swat a mosquito? Kun Ji was confused, saying that this guy wasn't even trying to block. Although he's at the initial stage of the third wound, he has 300 ding in his fist. Gathering to attack again, Kun Ji irritatedly told his opponent that since he could withstand it, let him try his 18 market strikes. He started throwing punches, listing their names: iron palm smelling fish, iron palm in oil, iron palm fried pork, iron palm frying pans, iron palm fried noodles, iron palm celery. Yuan Dao intercepted his opponent's hand, telling him to wait. Why did he switch to vegetarianism? He doesn't like this kind of food. Blue scales appeared across the guy's body. A frightened Kunji asked what he was talking about. While he himself was thinking about the fact that he couldn't free his arm, he flicked his opponent to let go. The guy was about to attack with his other hand, but also intercepting his second hand. Yuan Dao said that he really didn't like celery. Despite his trembling opponent, Yuan Dao said that he really disliked it. Kunji kept repeating for him to let him go. Looking fearfully at his opponent, Kunji asked the one. But in the next moment, Yuan Dao slammed the guy with his head into his head, using a fiery headbutt. Blood flowed out of Kunji's nose and he fell to his knees. Yuan Dao continued to hold him, irritatedly saying that he didn't understand why the guy had mentioned vegetarian food. Putting his head down, Kunji thought to himself, what was this guy thinking? What happened to his body? He didn't look like his old self. Yuan Dao kept striking his head, listing the names of the strikes. Celery stewed with tomato, pickled celery, ripe celery, fried celery, celery salad. He doesn't like it all. Coming out of his thoughts, Zhang Xuan thought that although Yuan Dao had just activated his abilities, but it would be easy enough for him to deal with an initial stage 3rd rank warrior. He thinks it will be roughly like this. Yuan Dao scratched the back of his head and asked, surrender. If he surrendered, Teacher Zhang would kill him. Kunji said, if he doesn't want to surrender, let him fight then. It is simple. Yuan Dao asked Kunji, how about something like this? Since he wouldn't be able to defeat that one anyway, could he hit him a few times before giving up? Then Teacher Zhang would have nothing to blame him for. If he helps him, he will pay 100. No, 500 gold coins, Kunji asked in surprise. Was the man serious? Does he have that much? Yuan Dao turned around as if he was digging in his back pocket, saying, of course, let the man wait. Kunji asked, did he have money in there? Kunji bent down to look and asked, did their uniforms have pockets? With a smile on his face, Yuan Dao told him to look. He punched the guy in the face with all his speed with his fist, causing him to fly off. Feeling very embarrassed, Zhang Xuan thought to himself, what had that guy thought about for so long? He had spent so much to activate his bloodline to make him stronger. But this? Kunji flew out of the ring, falling to the ground beside his teacher and comrades. Those excitedly looked at him. The annoyed Lu Sen thought about the fact that with his rank 3 strength, he would have taken him out immediately. If he knew, he would never give him a pill. Lu Sen thought back to when his disciples were in the same room. In front of them was a table with a box on it. The teacher put his hand on the box and told them that in this box were pills with which they could reach the 3rd rank in one night. In this way, they would definitely win the teacher's evaluation. However, free cheese is only in a mousetrap, and this power has a price. After reaching the 3rd rank, their cultivation rate will drop by 70%. They must realize that he will eliminate this effect after becoming a Grandmaster disciple, and also accept them as direct disciples. Of course, the choice is up to them. He won't force them, but he needs this victory. Zhu Hong started shouting that it was unfair. It was a despicable attack. Dulé added that just when he said that he was going to surrender, he immediately hit him with his fist. How could it be like this? Waving his hands to the sides, Yuan Dao replied, this is a surprise attack. The fight had started, so everyone should be on alert. How could this be called a sneak attack? He wouldn't have minded if that person had hit him. If they want to blame someone, let them blame me, their comrade, because the latter is weak. This is what Zhu Hong heard. He got angry and called the guy a coward who can't make an accurate direct strike. This kind of technique can't be blocked. Dulé, the guy with brown hair, added that this hidden attack was sneaky. It can't be counted out. Yuan Dao asked the judge if he thought he had won, to which the man replied that it was a victory. And he thought to himself that the guy was right. The competition had started, so he should have been more careful, and his opponent looks like he won't wake up anytime soon. Lu Sen looked at Mo Xiao, who was squatting next to the defeated guy. His teacher told him that others would take care of Kunji. His fight was next. The guy obeyed. Zhang Huang told Zheng Yang that it was his turn now. Yang Li and the 2 girls wished their friend good luck. The guy bowed to his teacher and replied, screw it. Watching Zheng Yang walk up the stairs and Yuan Dao walk down while clapping each other's palms, Huang thought about the fact that although his cultivation is lower than others, he is still very intelligent. Realizing his shortcomings, he has a low speed. He deliberately showed weakness and then struck stealthily. Anyway, he won. He has nothing to blame him for. Wang Chao cheerfully said that Mo Xiao would definitely win. Elder Hong Hao looked at the teacher questioningly. The latter, despite the sad fellow, explained that Mo Xiao specialized in the art of spear handling, and he had once learned from him. Not only is he a rank 3 warrior, but he is also an excellent spearman. Most importantly, he had taught him the 3rd form, 7th form, and 18th form of the Wang clan's spear art. The elder said that maybe these moves couldn't be called the strongest in the Wang clan's spear art, but they possessed an impressive. Was he able to teach him such useful techniques? Wang Chao replied that that was exactly the case. Therefore, there was no way Mo Xiao could lose. The two guys met in the ring and Zhang Yang told his friend that they were against each other again. The latter agreed with him. The host told them that they can attack as they are ready, but he hopes they won't repeat the mistakes of the last fight. Alright, the fight is about to begin. Zhang Yang stood up in a stance and motioned for it to start. But Mo Xiao raised his hand, telling him to wait, to take his time. Zhang Yang straightened up, looking at his friend in surprise. Yuan Dao behind his back told him to be careful. Zhu Hong on the other side shouted to his comrade, calling him a scoundrel. Let him not dare to attack stealthily. Let him ruin their team's honor as well. To this, Mo Xiao awkwardly replied not to worry. He wasn't going to strike sneakily. He added that in fact, after he had compared them last time, all this time he'd been thinking about how he could win. Elder Hong Hao asked in surprise. Did anyone really think about how to defeat him? Wang Chao told him not to worry. The Wang family's techniques cannot be defeated or copied. This fact has been proven by many generations of fighters, so he doesn't have to worry. Mo Xiao was just gathering his wits. But in the next instant, the guy threw his spear on the ring floor, telling his friend that with his spear skills, he can't compete with him. He admits defeat. Wang Chao, Lu Sen, and Zhang Huang were shocked by this, and the pink-haired man asked, "Is it really a victory again?" Shen Bi said in surprise, "2 fights. One Lu Sen disciple went flying with 1 punch and the other surrendered." Her friend said with a smile, "It seems like Teacher Zhang has good luck." The enraged Lu Sen thought about Kun Ji falling for the opponent's ploy and losing his guard. He could take it. At least his 600,000 had gone to the wind. What about him? He had stayed up all night to maximize his investment in him. And he had just given up. Wang Chao got up from his seat, shouting to the guy, asking, how dare the guy give up? Even if he agrees to be defeated, but to surrender without a fight. Like that? Sighing, Elder Hong Hao thought to himself, why can't disciples trained by 2-star teachers prove themselves? To this, Mo Xiao awkwardly replied that the technique that Zhang Yang learned from Teacher Zhang reveals the very essence of how I am. And he is afraid that even after training all his life, he won't be able to understand it, much less resist it. He is forced to admit defeat. Leaving the ring, the guy told his friend that he should treasure his teacher. Zhang Yang confusedly replied that he did. Wang Chao grudgingly thought that Mo Xiao had said that he couldn't understand and resist the technique that Teacher Zhang had taught Zhang Yang, even if he studied it all his life. This technique is even stronger than the Wang clan's techniques. How could this be possible? Mo Xiao wanted to say something to his teacher, but the teacher ignored him, telling Dulei that he was next. Sadly lowering his head, Mo Xiao thought about how Zhen Yang's spear was really useless to resist. Lu Sen told his disciple that if he was also going to hammer nonsense then. But Dulei smilingly told his teacher that he knew what he was capable of, so don't let him worry. Sitting on one of the benches, Zhang Huang thought about what happened between Mo Xiao and Zhang Yang. He didn't even show his strength. After working so hard to unleash the Yuan Dao bloodline and Zhang Yang's strength, they hadn't even shown what they were capable of. If things continued like this, people would accuse him of cheating. Just then, Wang Yin approached him, asking her teacher if it was time for her to enter the ring. Huang replied that yes, go ahead. And he thought to himself that given Wang Yin's character, he didn't know who would be the winner. Ouyang Chung asked the seated Mr. Wang Hong next to him, that wasn't Wang Yin's leg still healed? Why is she paired with Du? I mean, he is the best student studying body techniques. Did he tell Teacher Zhang about her injury to me? But he grimly told the men that Wang Yin was injured when she was still a child. He had invited every possible, even the most expensive doctors, but it was all to no avail. They watched as the girl entered the ring and her opponent crouched down, taking a stand. The host thought about the fact that he had been accepting teacher evaluations for a very long time, but this was the first time, and it wouldn't happen again. He announced the start of the 3rd fight. When the guy started to act, Wang Ying said that she hoped they would work together. The guy started to quickly approach her, saying that they were starting. Then a punch was thrown. The guy grinned smugly, saying it was too slow. Wang Yin was lying in the ring. The guy turned his back to her, raising one arm up. From the stands, everyone shouted his name joyfully. The guy walked to the edge of the ring, telling Teacher Lu that he had won for him. But in the next moment, Zhu Hong shouted to his comrade to get up quickly. Get up. Du Lai scratched the back of his head in surprise, not understanding anything, saying that he was on his feet. But then everything in front of him blurred. He opened his eyes and realized that he was lying on the ground. He saw a worried Wang Yin in front of him, asking if he was all right. She didn't do it on purpose. He thought, why is that one on her feet? What is she talking about? Fully opening his eyes, he wondered mentally why he was on the ground. He quickly stood up and bounced back. Wang Yin guiltily apologized, saying that she had recently learned this technique, so she wasn't quite in control of her kick yet. Dulai mentally asked, why did he suddenly fall down? Wiping his face from the blood, he asked the girl, what is she talking about? Ouyang Chung shockingly said that her speed was faster than Dulei's 9 shadow steps. Wang Hong laughed and said exactly that. Not only had Wang Ying's injury been extracted by teacher Zhang, but the girl had also learned many techniques for her legs and body in general. This was the sight he had come for today. Ouyang shockedly asked, "What? Master Zhang is able to heal as well?" Zhu Hong shouted to Dulei to get his wits about him. She just accidentally kicked him, stop him thinking about nonsense. But the annoyed Lu Sen was thinking about the fact that Dulei's 9 shadow steps were executed without any mistakes. When executed so perfectly, it could be considered a pattern, but he was only stopped by a single foot strike. He recalled the moment when Wang Yin kicked the guy in the shoulder area. Lu Sen looked at his annoyed disciple, and Dulei thought about the fact that the 9 shadow steps was a special technique taught to him by teacher Lu. He must not fail him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to look into his teacher's eyes. He stood up, thinking that he wouldn't make any more mistakes. Attacking the girl, he yelled for her to receive. He was about to strike with his fist, but in the next moment, Wang Yin moved, ending up behind the guy's back. Dulei shockingly thought about the fact that she had bounced so far away in a few seconds. How? What kind of speed is this? Lu Sen furrowed his brows, thinking that this was definitely not the Wang family style. But who trained her to do this? Could it really be teacher Zhang? Looking at Zhang Huang, who was sitting behind the ring with his arms crossed, Lu Sen thought to himself that no. How could such a technique be taught by such trash? And Huang at this time was thinking about Wang Yin's character still. We'll need to work on it. In this situation, if it were Zheng Yang or Yang Li and Zhao Yao would have already hit long ago. This is a fight. You can't feel sorry for your opponent. He looked at how in the ring Wang Yin was running away and dodging the guy's attacks, telling him not to come closer. And Dulei was yelling for her to stop. Stop running away. Why is she running away? Watching this, Huang awkwardly thought that Wang Yin's technique was very dangerous, and it can be used once or twice, but more than that is impossible. She is using it too much strength. If she continues, she will definitely... Wang Yin, pouring sweat, thought about what should she do. She can't run anymore. Dulei and Wang Yin stopped at the edge of the ring. Sore asked that are they really playing cat and mouse? What is she trying to accomplish? The girl replied that it's just that the one and done suddenly threw himself. The guy replied that he and should take a long time to come up for a fight. The girl added that that was the case, but Dulei was also an evening in sweat, and thought about the fact that if he kept running he would waste all his strength. He wouldn't be able to fight anymore. The guy lunged at the girl again, shouting that if he didn't win, he wouldn't let her win either. Clawing at her eyes, Wang Yin shouted for him not to attack so suddenly. She raised her leg to protect herself. The girl hit the guy's jaw with her knees. Dulei's mouth bled and he himself flew off to the side. Flying away, Dulei thought to himself that he couldn't lose like this. How could he? In the next instant, he grabbed the girl's hand and pulled. Falling outside the ring, the guy thought about the fact that if he didn't win, it would be a draw. They both collapsed to the floor. Students from the stadium started yelling that this was mean, unfair. One of the guys shouted that it was clear that Wang Yin would win. Another added that how could one be so shameless? He was even worse than Yuan Dao. Hearing this, Yuan Dao shouted to them, "Who is shameless here? He won thanks to his strength. They themselves are shameless, understand?" The judge thought about how this was a very unusual assessment of the teachers. Spreading his hands to the sides, he announced that the fighters had fallen outside the ring at the same time. It was a draw. Wang Hong and the 3 elders were very angry. They were thinking about the need to record this kid. They would find him later. Not only did he not lose by himself, he also dragged the girl away. Ouyang Chung, who was sitting next to them, fearfully asked them to be calmer. Zhao Yao and the others surrounded Wang Ying, walking towards them. The girl asked her if she was all right. She replied that yes, she was fine. She felt guilty as she approached the teacher. Zhang Huang said with a smile that it was fine. It was his fault. He didn't notice that she lacked not skills but confidence. After stroking the girl's head, he added that next time, she should not make such mistakes. The girl thanked her teacher. Grandmaster Zhen stroked his beard with a smile, and said that he won 2 battles and drew 1. Master Zhang can lose. Grandmaster Lu corrected his glasses and added that yes, even if teacher Lu won twice, it would be a draw. Grandmaster Zhuang said that no matter what happens, he thinks teacher Lu's chances aren't that high. Meanwhile, Lu Sen was sitting on the bench, grabbing his head with one hand while the other hand was trembling with anger. He was thinking about the fact that he couldn't lose anymore. He had no chance of making a mistake. He needs to calm down. One more loss and he would be out. Zhu Hong had already lost to Zhao Yao once before. Although his cultivation had improved, he might still experience an injury due to this. If he were to dispatch him, he wouldn't be able to guarantee himself a victory. Just then, Bai Chao came up to him and asked his teacher to send him off. Lu Sei sternly told the guy that once he entered the ring, let him not hesitate. He must use his strongest punch and not give his opponent even a chance, Yang Li said with a smile. It seems that it is his turn now. Zhang Xuan said for sure and then added that the one was not his classmate, so he might not hold back. Yuan Dao wished his classmate good luck. Wang Chao hesitantly said that Bai Chao had studied fist-fighting techniques. Yang Li shouldn't be able to stand up to him, right? Elder Hung Hao contemptuously said that it was his disciple. How could I not know? When the two opponents entered the ring, the referee announced that the fourth fight would begin now. Bai Chao straightened his arms, which had turned black due to the steel skin technique. He told Yang Li that he knew that the meridians on his right arm were damaged, but teacher Zhang had probably already cured it. Since his arm had recovered, he had a suggestion. How about we fight directly in hand-to-hand combat? Let him show what his teacher had taught him. With a cold expression on his face, Yang Li asked if he went to see what he had learned. Hand-to-hand combat. The guy then grinned, saying that they had a deal. Yang Li rushed forward, preparing his fist. He said, "Enough talking, let's go." Bai Chao grinned as well, agreeing with his opponent, and their fists collided with each other. Yang Li's arm was left with abrasions, and he himself said with a smile that it seemed like his opponent's steel wasn't that tough. But it still needed to be tried. Bai Chao was covered in sweat, but still he said that one could match his other fist. His punch is not bad, whether it's attacking. Their faces moved closer to each other. Yang Li was grinning and Bai Chao was angry. They started throwing a large number of punches at each other. As they continued their attack, Bai Chao thought to himself, "What's wrong with this guy's fists? They are too strong." Yang Li stretched one arm forward and brought his right arm back, accumulating all of his power downwards. He said with a smile, that one was a good opponent, but it was time to end this fight. Let the spectators see who was stronger. As he launched his attack, Yang Li said with a chuckle that he would show him what he had learned. Bai Chao's eyes widened in fright. Yang Li struck his opponent's shoulder, causing his fingers to curve. Zhang Huang awkwardly thought that did he somehow misunderstand what he had said. Seeing that Bai Chao was weak, Yang Li just slammed lightly, matching his usual strength. Bai Chao hit the floor, writhing in great pain in his arm. The spectators from the stands became surprised to say that he had broken the steel armor. This technique was practiced by a steel armor master 7 or 8 years ago. It took more than 30 rank 8 people to break his armor, but he had only broken it in a single strike. Yang Li scratched the back of his head, surprised, asking, didn't he study steel armor? Why was his punch so weak? After struggling to sit down on the floor, Bai Chao, holding his shoulder, irritably replied, weak? It's not that. He's the one who's too green. Yang Li started to walk over to the guy, extending his hand, and said that when he recovered a bit, would they fight again? Bai Chao fearfully replied, what again? Let the other one beat himself up too. Does he just want to bully him? Let him stop and stay away from him. Bai Chao raised his healthy hand and fearfully said that he was admitting defeat, he was staying. The referee asked if he was staying. Already lost 2 fights, the third ended in a draw. If he loses, the teacher's evaluation will end. Bai Chao lowered his head, irritatedly replied that yes, he would accept defeat. And he thought to himself that it was better to be defeated than dead. The referee announced that it was good. Bai Chao admits defeat. The teacher's evaluation ends with teacher Zhang winning. Everyone present in the stadium was saying that teacher Zhang had won. No wonder, his students are incredible. With the exception of Yuan Dao, the others are so strong. After all, they were also beginners not long ago. This growth is most likely all thanks to teacher Zhang. After all this, one should go to him as a disciple. Shenbi asked in surprise, did he really win? Her friend laughed and said that Shen's lip was not stupid. Now she was also interested in him. Shenbi blushed and asked why she was interested in him. The brunette asked. Somehow she thought if she asked him a couple questions at night about the teacher's practice, the guy would room her. The blonde replied that she thought he would beat her to death. And her friend replied that she thought Shen would be the one to beat her to death. Grandmaster Zhen said that Lu Sen's disciples treated this competition as a normal task. They didn't care if they lost or won. They only cared about not getting injured. Grandmaster Zhuang, non-committal, said that Lu Sen's relationship with his disciples was at the level of a bargain. After Lu Sen helped them develop their skills, they treated it as a trade. Grandmaster Liu, wiping his glasses, added that his intentions were not pure, so he was unable to influence his disciples properly. Looking at Zhang Huang and his disciples, Liu continued that teacher Zhang's disciples were completely different. They truly love him and are willing to make sacrifices for him. They didn't develop not just to improve their abilities, but for the higher purpose that lies in their hearts. His disciples fought for their teacher's sake, not just for their own gain. Grandmaster Zhen added that there was no doubt why he was able to attract teacher Yang's attention. Zhang Huang is made to become a grandmaster. Soon he would be able to be on par with them. The people present in the stadium watched Lu Sen's actions and asked, what would he do? Someone suggested that he thought he would apologize at the very least. Defeats are inevitable. No one can win all their life all the time. As it is, defeat is no big deal. If he decides to leave the academy, no matter how great a star mentor he is, Lu Sen will fade into oblivion, losing his place. The wounded Bai Chao approached his teacher, to which the latter gloomily walked past. Lu Sen turned to teacher Zhang, saying that he had lost out on teacher evaluation. He recognized that the latter was capable of teaching his students, but after saying that, he gloomily looked at the man, adding that in their world, strength mattered just as much. No matter how much the one is trained, if his own abilities do not match them, he is not worthy of the place. He wants to fight him. Lu Sen thought about the fact that he had spent so much effort and money to win, but ended up hitting the dirt. Before he leaves, he wants to show him what he can do. Zhang Huang pointed her finger in surprise, interjecting, "Did he really want to fight him?" But Zhao Yao standing beside him silently jumped into the ring, and Huang himself was surprised by this. The girls gloomily told teacher Lu that she was proud to have such a gifted star teacher together where she was studying. Fixing her hair, blue tongues of energy began to appear around the girl. She approached the teacher, saying that she couldn't forgive him for being a star teacher and humiliating her teacher for no reason. Teacher Zhang didn't want to show his strength so that they could develop normally, but to drag teacher Zhang himself into this. Even though it was quite clear who was the winner and loser here, someone still dared to challenge their teacher. The man sitting next to the emperor suddenly jumped up, shouting out his daughter's name. The emperor also recognized the girl, and her father said that she was revealing her yin body and making breakthroughs. Zhao Yao opened her eyes, shouting that she is the disciple of Zhang's teacher, Zhao Yao. She makes an oath. Wind began to rise around her, and she broke through to the peak of the second rank, then the middle step of the third rank, the peak of the third rank, the middle step of the fourth rank, and the peak of the fourth rank. The people present said with shocked expressions to look at the girl who was breaking through. She has the highest stage of Dantian, the highest stage of true ki, the highest stage of bone and skin refining. How is this possible? How can one break through so much in just a few breaths? The girl reached up to the fifth rank, and then to the peak of the fifth rank. She declared that she would fight anyone who dared to insult her teacher. She seriously asked teacher Lu if he would dare to accept her challenge. A blue crystal began to form on her palm. Lu Sen looked at it in surprise, thinking that because she herself had suppressed her cultivation, she hadn't shown her true strength all this time. He asked her, had she really just broken through to rank 5? The other disciples who were standing beside Zhang Huan before said that they had too, and jumped into the ring. Standing beside Zhao Yao, they said that he had humiliated their teacher. The 5 of them challenged him. No one dares to insult teacher Zhang. Zhao Yao seriously asked if he would mark. The 3 grandmasters were shocked, and Zhang stood up from his seat. Grandmaster Zhuang exclaimed that those decided to put their lives on the line to protect their mentor's honor. Grandmaster Zheng, pouring sweat and opening his mouth, said in surprise that this is the highest level of relationship between disciples and mentor. The level of honor protection? Standing beside his friend, Zhuang added that close and fair mind, actions aligned with morality. A teacher must have just such a character before he can earn the respect and admiration of his students, so that they are willing to go through all kinds of trials to fight for the teacher's honor and defend his name, even if it might mean their death. Zheng said that it was said that only 4-star grandmasters could reach that level, but he, Zhang Huang, had only taught these students for half a month, and what's more, he had been away for more than 10 days. Zhuang added, that is to say, Zhang Huang could be said to have tried with his students for a maximum of 4 or 5 days. However, his students are willing to defend his honor. How did he manage to do that? Grandmaster Liu said that the students must have a high level of trust in the teacher before they start defending his honor. It seems that they had really underestimated Zhang. Grandmaster Zhuang sat down in his seat again, admitting that when he heard that Grandmaster Yang had accepted him as his student, he was very disappointed. But now looking at it, even if Zhang Huang recognized them as his teachers, they wouldn't be able to give him anything. Grandmaster Zhen agreed with him. Grandmaster, Lu Sen irritably called the disciples petty, while thinking to himself, if he retreated at this moment, people would say that he was afraid of them. On the other hand, if he pushed them, others would think that he was bullying the weak. But at this moment, Zhao Yao said exactly that. Even if they can't win it for teacher Zhang's honor, they won't regret anything. Watching all of this, Zhang Huang thought about what these children were. The reason he accepted these disciples was so that he wouldn't be expelled from the academy. The seed he had sown had brought him an entire forest. Feeling extremely happy, Huang touched her forehead with a smile, thinking that it was no wonder they were practicing offensive formation. They were preparing. Most likely, even if Lu Sen hadn't thrown it to him, they would have summoned it themselves. Tam looked at them sternly, thinking about the fact that they are not afraid despite knowing they can't win, but they still don't hesitate to go into battle. He can't let them take any risks. At this moment, Zhang Huang moved to the Heaven's Path library. Looking around, he thought about the fact that he had not asked the library to appear. Then why would it? But then he noticed a golden book and thought to himself, had it appeared again? The book was glowing brightly, and the guy thought about how he didn't know how the book was created the first time. but now it had appeared when the disciples had risked themselves for him. Could the Golden Book be related to his students? Here he saw his disciples again. Zhao Yao bowed to teacher Zhang and said that they had made a decision. They hope that he will not interfere. He has given them so much, they just have to protect him. Besides, one wants to show what they are capable of now. All 5 disciples together said that his dignity can't be trampled on. They will not allow his honor to be dishonored. Zhang Huang resolutely replied that fine, but they must be careful. If they couldn't compete with him, let them just admit defeat. The next moment he moved to the 7th rank and then to the peak of the 7th rank. He added so that they wouldn't worry, their teacher is here. No one will dare to insult him, Shen Bi said in surprise. It seemed like he was just hiding his strength and didn't want to show it. The brown-haired girl beside her added that surely, only someone with such talent could unleash the potential of people like Zhao Yao and Yang Li so quickly. A shocked Wang Chao pointed his finger at Zhang, shouting that wasn't he at the 3rd rank? Why is he at the peak of the 7th rank? Elder Hong Hao, who was sitting next to him, opened his mouth in astonishment and said, "This is the 7th rank." Not even the academy head had reached this level of strength, and such a master is considered the weakest teacher. Bleeding sweat as if from fright, Lu Sen thought about the fact that this was the peak of the 7th rank. This guy is basically the strongest warrior of the entire kingdom. How is this possible? At this time, the 3 grandmasters proudly said that the disciples were standing up for their mentor's honor, and he was serving as their support in everything. The disciples and their mentor complemented each other perfectly. This was a true example of such a relationship. As they did so, they thought back to Grandmaster Yang. Liu thought about how this was the level they all hoped to reach. Teacher Yang really is incredible since he managed to unearth such a gem. All 5 disciples appeared before Teacher Liu, and Yuan Dao motioned for him to begin. Lu Sen seriously said that he accepted his challenge, but he did not intend to hold back against him and his disciples. He offered to move to the mentor arena, but Yuan Dao said with a smile that there was no need for them to go to the mentor arena. They'll fight here. And also that guy doesn't have to hold back. In the next moment, the guy rushed forward to attack. He crashed his shoulder into the teacher who was trying to block with his hand. Lu Sen flew aside and the guy stopped. The man clutched his wounded hand whose fingers were injured. He irritatedly thought to himself, was this guy really holding back his strength as well? Impossible. The offensive one and barely reached the initial stage of rank 1. But now he had that strength. He had underestimated him. Golden scales appeared across Yuan Dao's body. The guy smilingly asked Teacher Liu if he was still thinking of holding back. Wang Chao fearfully asked the elder, "What kind of technique is this?" Opening his mouth in shock, Hong Hao thought about the fact that it wasn't a technique, it was ancient dragon blood. Well, how could this happen in their kingdom? The appearance of ancient horned dragon blood here. The elder decided that it was urgent to report it to him. Noticing that the man was leaving somewhere, Wang Chao asked the elder where he was going. The man replied that he needed to hurry. Have the guy tell Teacher Liu not to dare say that he asked him for help. Yuan Dao, still smiling, told Teacher Liu that he didn't see his strength, and after all, he was considered the weakest here. To avoid tears and injuries, they could stop now. It would be considered a draw. Still holding his hand, Lu Sen thought about what kind of monsters this Zhang had raised. Kunji and the others had lost before they even entered the battle. The man replied that they were indeed worthy opponents to fight, and since they had started, he didn't think there was a way back. After saying this, all the disciples rushed forward. Then they would all attack together. Zheng Yang, who jumped high into the air, was accumulating energy in his spear. The guy threw it towards the enemy with all his might. Watching the spear flying at him, Lu Sen realized the determination of the spear. At the last moment, he managed to dodge. Lu Sen bounced to the side and the spear slammed into the ground. After getting close to her opponent from behind, Wang Yin jumped, did a somersault, and was about to kick his back. Lu Sen used the butterfly flight to dodge. Landing on the floor again, he thought about how Du couldn't be blamed for not keeping up with her with his shadow technique. But at this moment, Yang Li was approaching him from behind. Lu Sen noticed this. At the last moment, he did a backward somersault and ended up above the guy. Yang Li raised his head up, looking at the teacher. Wang Yin was about to attack again. Her foot was already close to Lu Sen's stomach. At the last moment, he was able to grab her leg. With one twist, he yanked the girl so that she fell on Yang Li's back. Lu Sen landed back in the ring. As he straightened up, he noticed a blue mist surrounding him. He realized that this aura must be Zhao Yao's. She narrowed his field of vision so that her comrades could attack from afar. Just then, an attacking Yuan Dao appeared from the mist behind his back, telling Teacher Liu to keep an eye on him. Lu Sen furrowed his brows and then began to accumulate fire energy between his palms. In the next moment, he directed an attack called Flying Dragon Palm at the guy. Yuan Yu asked Master Lu, "That is it really the Flying Dragon Palm?" The irritated man said that the man used this technique against his disciples. Tianlun asked his father that isn't this a secret technique of the Lu family? The man replied that yes, it is very famous. Shen begrudgingly said that when a person successfully mastered this skill, he can create a sphere of ki outside his body, and it protects him from any attacks. Teacher Lu uses it. The brown-haired girl beside her was also dissatisfied, and asked what protects from all attacks. This technique is too strong. But then Zhang Yang rose up again, unfurled his spear and told his friend to step back. Yuan Dao immediately lay on the floor after hearing his friend ask to be allowed to attack. Yuan Dao thought a bad thing. This is Zhang Yang's technique. The guy threw his spear, which was accompanied by a blue dragon. It was the water dragon flight technique. Lu Sen collided with the dragon while trying to block. At this moment, the man thought to himself, how could a second-rank fighter have such strength? But without lasting any longer, he flew backwards. Wang Chao's jaw dropped from what he saw. He asked what kind of punch was that. It shattered the dragon palm shield. The man next to him said that it wasn't bad at all, even though he was still young, and although his spear determination at the basic level wouldn't compare to at least the intermediate level, if he kept practicing, a lot of things would happen. Wang Chao turned his head to the side and saw his father. He asked in surprise, how did the latter get here? Hands on his chest, Wang Chong replied that he was here to meet his brother Zhang Yang to compete. Wang Chao interjected, who is this brother Zhang Yang? Is it the one who is Zhang's disciple? Wang Chong sternly said that teacher Zhang is half of his teacher as well, as he helped him a lot in mastering the determination of the spear. Therefore, the next time his son interacts with him, should call his master or uncle. Hearing this, Wang Chao felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He thought to himself, how can he call him that? Is he equal to Zhen Yang? The people present at the tournament were saying that it seems Mo Xiao had admitted defeat not for the sake of his friend, but because Mache really wasn't for him. The other added that undoubtedly, even fourth-ranked warriors would not be able to resist this move. Someone asked, what was this incredible technique? Was it really something that teacher Zhang taught him? He is a master of hand-to-hand combat, movement techniques and spear techniques as well. Meanwhile, Lu Sen was sitting on one knee with his head down, but in the very next moment he raised a very angry look and his eyes were glowing red. Clenching his teeth in anger, he said that he had underestimated all of them. Zhao Yao appeared from behind the fog saying now. Her brass was glowing blue because she was using the ice fern technique. The girl's palm was already close, and Lu Sen looked at her, but in the next moment he grabbed the girl's hand and pulled. He was behind her back and was about to strike with his other hand, but Yang Li managed to stop this attack by hitting the man's hand with his fist. With red eyes he looked at the guy. He was ready to kick him, thinking about how bad things were, but he was stopped again. This time it was Wang Yin who kicked the man with her foot on his leg. Wasting no time, Zhao Yao used the ice fern again. After touching Lu Sen's hand, they began to spread blue crystals. Getting even more angry, the man called them loonies. Veins protruded on his face. Lu Sen straightened up to his full height, releasing his power. This caused the attacking disciples to fly off in different directions. He shouted to be allowed to attack already. The brown-haired girl said unhappily that this was not like Teacher Lu. No matter how greedy he was for fame, he never treated his students like this. Shen Bi agreed with her friend, adding that he was always kind to the students. The brown-haired girl said that Teacher Lu seemed to be overdoing it. Shen Bi shouted loudly to Teacher Zhang that let Zhao Yao and the others stop. This was dangerous, but the man only remained silent, not reacting in any way. Taking off his vest, Lu Sen told his opponents not to think they were so good since they were learning from him. He would show them their place. Tossing his vest aside, he loudly declared that he was the star teacher of the academy. But then, large hands appeared on both sides of him. It was Yuan Dao, who wrapped his arms around the man from behind, squeezing him in his hands. The other four students cheerfully exclaimed in joy at the result. A few days ago, Zhao Yao had told her classmates that the teacher's evaluation was in 2 days. According to the plan, they should attack Teacher Lu to clear their teacher's name. But they have a problem. First, it's likely that Teacher Lu won't be deterred, so they need someone to keep him from doing anything unnecessary. Second, she heard that Teacher Lu wields the flying dragon palm. Only attacks of a level no lower than the teacher himself could break through this defense. Zhen Yang asked as they let him try it. Although his spear resolve isn't perfect, but it will be able to break through his defense quite well. Yang Li added that he would then make sure that he wouldn't dodge his attack. Yuan Dao said with a smile. Then the first problem will be dealt with by him. His defense would hold up. Yang Li shouted to Yuan Dao to act now and faster. Yuan Dao smiled and golden scales appeared on his body. He chuckled and told Master Lu that he was about to lose. All this time, Lu Sen's eyes were red. Yuan Dao tried to lift him up, but straining, he said that he would stand with him. He is heavy. Impossible. Why? Zhang Huang, who was watching this, thought about this, letting down roots. This technique can conduct a warrior's ki into the ground. The martial artist stands as firmly as a mountain. It's like a centuries-old tree. Lu Sen irritatedly asked the guy that with his worthless skills he thinks he can do it. He knows what the guy is planning after Zhao Yao's punch. So now, Lu Sen shouted loudly for the guy to let him go. He clenched his fists and started to release his power, but after a few moments, Lu Sen didn't realize what had happened. Why was the one still holding him? Lu Sen irritably told the guy to let go of him, but the guy nonchalantly and boredly replied that he didn't. Lu Sen started trembling in anger and muttered through his teeth that he had told the guy to let him go. Shouting again to be let go, he slapped the guy with the back of his head on his face. Yuan Dao yelled to his friends that he was holding. He wouldn't leave it like this. The guy kept taking the blows despite taking the blows. Zhang Yang said that no matter how strong his defense was, he wouldn't last long. We have to stop him. Zhang Yang rushed forward to attack. He swung his spear. He pointed it at his opponent. At the last moment, he stopped the point at the teacher's throat. Zhang Yang told Teacher Lu that he had lost. Let him stop it. Glaring angrily at the guy, Lu Sen asked, "Lost? Do they really want him to admit defeat?" Pushing his head aside, he added, "They won't wait." The spear came close to Yuan Dao's face. At the last moment, Zhang Yang managed to pull it aside. Lu Sen twisted himself so that using Yuan Dao he hit Zhang Yang. The spectators from the stands shockedly asked, how could a star teacher stoop so low? Zhang Yang flew aside and fell into the ring. Yuan Dao excitedly looked at his friend, calling out to him. Lu Sen irritatedly asked, what else does the guy think of others? He started to elbow the guy in the stomach, making his mouth bleed. Lu Sen told him to let him go or die. Wang Yin rushed over to them. The girl told Master Lu that he was too persistent. She kicked his jaw from the bottom to the top with her foot. This sent him and Yuan Dao into the air. The girl added that she was disappointed. Just then, Yang Li appeared in the other direction and warned Yuan Dao that he was attacking. The guy who was holding the teacher responded by telling his friend not to worry about him, but to punch as hard as he could. Yang Li slapped the teacher's cheek with his fist, forming a crystal sword. Zhao Yao said gloomily as he used the student as a shield for the spear attack. Throwing himself at the teacher, he added that it was unforgivable. There was an impact. Shen Bi and her friend excitedly looked at the ring. The Emperor and Zhao Yao's father couldn't say a word. Wang Chao opened his mouth. Huyang Cheng, Chen Xiao, and Wang Huang couldn't understand what had happened. Zhang Huang appeared in the ring and stood between the girl and the teacher. He broke her sword with one hand. He said, "That's enough." Zhao Yao looked at the teacher in shock. Yuan Dao was also thinking about him. With a single hand movement, Zhang Huang was able to flip Yuan Dao and Lu Sen, who were upside down in the air. When those landed in the ring, Huang told his student that that was it. He could let him go. Yuan Dao was confused, but immediately let Lu Sen go. Zhang Huang told his disciples that they had practiced this formation for a long time to defeat Lu Sen's teacher. But he sternly asked who told him what kind of games did they play here. Zhu Hong was trembling all over as he sat on the ground outside the ring. He thought, what was teacher Zhang talking about? He thought that he had enough strength with the third rank to avenge the last time. Bai Chao, who was sitting on the bench next to him, fearfully said that they had fought those monsters. Mo Xiao, who had Dulei lying on his shoulder, lowered his head, thinking about the fact that a couple days had passed and Zhang Yang had become stronger again. The Emperor had told Grandmaster Zheng that 4 second-ranked disciples and 1 5th-ranked disciple had practically knocked out the star teacher. Everything had gone just perfectly. What was teacher Zhang dissatisfied with? Grandmaster Zhen said that he was very strict with his students. Grandmaster Liu admitted that he thought they attacked well. Grandmaster Zhuang added that isn't he too strict? Aren't they still disciples? Lu Sen irritably thought to himself, what kind of games are these? This joint attack of theirs had defeated him, but the latter was dissatisfied with something. Zhang Huang asked, what's the matter? Did they not hear him? Then he would explain. He started to say that when Yuan Tao ran at teacher Lu, if Zhang Yang had been in the right position and used the spear the way he taught, their attacks would have merged into one and become more dangerous. If Yang Li attacked from here, leaning over 3 kun, his attack would be in a blind spot, so there would be no way to dodge it. Were Zhao Yao and Wang Ying sleeping at that moment? If they moved over here, how would teacher Lu evade their attacks? He went on to say that when Yuan Tao grabbed teacher Lu, it was a great opportunity. If Yang Li attacked from here, Wang Yin attacked 3 breaths after him, and Zhao Yao attacked after 7 breaths, they wouldn't let him escape from the attacks. Would any of them be injured? Of course not. They would make him accept defeat without taking any injuries. Lu Sen was confused thinking about the fact that the battle was taking place at incredible speeds, but he was able to see his disciples' blunders at a glance and make accurate remarks. Was this all for real? If they filled in those gaps despite their level, he would be helpless against them. Is that one also a master strategist? Grandmaster Zhen said that it was unbelievable. With just a few words, the one pointed out the very essence of the wrong formation. Does Zhang Huang really understand everything so well? Grandmaster Liu said that the right formation could work wonders and multiply the fighter's strength several times over. Grandmaster Zhuang added that even a 7th-ranked warrior would hardly stop this attack, let alone teacher Lu. Zhang Huang asked his disciples if they understood. Those simultaneously replied that they did. Huang sternly said that it was excellent. Now that they have realized their mistakes, let them attack again. The battle will continue until Teacher Lu admits his defeat. The disciples were shocked and exclaimed that really attack again. Lu Sen shockingly thought about the fact that he stopped this battle just to point out their mistakes and gave them free rein. Does he want him dead? But then Master Lu entered the ring and asked Teacher Zhang to spare this fool. Lu Sen turned his head towards his father and wanted to say something, but he sternly told him to shut up and let him call him uncle now. Lu Sen resentfully thought to himself, wasn't he already humiliated? Why should he call him uncle? How did this happen? He was just the worst teacher, wasn't he? Zhao Yao's father asked the emperor that he had heard it right. Why did he tell his son to call Teacher Zhang uncle? And the emperor thought darkly that Master Lu Chen was his mentor, and if Lu Sen called him uncle, wouldn't he have to do the same? Lu Sen asked his father, why call him uncle? But Master Lu slapped his son on the cheek, he which his head turned to the side. The old man shouted out, asking, what is the matter? Master Zhang is his equal, and he addresses him as a brother. How else should the latter address him if not as an uncle? The old man wanted to shout something else, but Zhang Huang walked over to him, pulling him away from his son. He told Brother Lu that enough was enough. It is normal for children to have periods of stupidity. There is actually nothing special about it. Lu Sen got up from the floor and shouted to Uncle Zhang that he had won the teacher evaluation, but he still wouldn't be able to become a Grandmaster disciple. No longer shouting, but through his teeth, he added that if the latter wanted it, he had to become a star teacher first. And since he was still a low-level teacher, he wouldn't be able to do that. Zhang Huang grudgingly thought about how it was all for nothing back then, pulling his son's ear. Master Lu shouted at him that he was an asshole. It was still his uncle. And then the old man looked at Huang with an awkward smile, saying that he had spoiled this child. He asked him to forgive him. Zhang replied with a smile that it was fine. He was just striving to become a Grandmaster apprentice. Determination is good. Zhang then turned towards the Grandmasters who had climbed into the ring. He said correctly. Since it was about Grandmasters, he was glad that they were here too. Huang pointed at Lu Sen with his hand, smilingly telling the Grandmasters that although Teacher Lu's behavior was not the best, his ability as a teacher was indeed outstanding. Let them consider him if they want to accept a disciple. Lu Sen looked at Zhang confusedly, thinking that the reason why he was competing with Zhang was to be able to become a disciple of the three Grandmasters. However, the same one won. Why is he doing this? After Zhang's words, the three Grandmasters bowed to him, calling him Big Brother. The people present in the stadium were shocked. They exclaimed that really, Grandmaster Zhen and the others had just called Teacher Zhang Sr. He isn't even 20 years old, whereas the three Grandmasters are at least 60 or 70 years old. Where is the logic in this? Emperor Shen shockingly thought about the fact that he was senior to Liu Ling and the others. Is it possible that Zhang Huang is Yang Huang's disciple? Moreover, he is the head disciple. Lu Sen felt devastated thinking about the fact that senior, the senior of the three Grandmasters. The reason why he was against Zhang was because of the rivalry for the opportunity to become a disciple of the three Grandmasters. Not only did Zhang not know about it, he actually ended up being the senior of the three Grandmasters. A painting master, a tea art expert, an official alchemist, his father's brother. Is there anything else that no one knows about him? Grandmaster Zhen said that Teacher Lu is indeed a rare talent. He had heard of his reputation in the Beiwu Kingdom, and had come here to welcome him as his disciple. Since the elder spoke in his favor, is Lu Sen willing to become his disciple? Lu Sen immediately fell to his knees and said that he was ready. He then told Uncle Zhang that he was foolish and blind earlier. He hoped that he would forgive him. Master Lu told him that this is the magnanimity a teacher should have. He should learn from Master Zhang. And Zhang said it's okay as long as he's willing to change his behavior. He hoped that he would properly study under Liu Ling in the future, and quickly reach the Grandmaster level. Lu Sen turned to Grandmaster Zhen, asking if he could plead a matter with him. The latter replied for the fellow to not be shy and speak up. Sitting on his knees, Lu Sen lowered his head, and said that his disciples had absorbed the mad demonic breakthrough pill to help him win. They would probably have severe and harmful side effects. He hoped that the one could solve this problem. Lu Sen's disciples were confused. Mo Xiao said that if he said this to the public, his reputation would definitely fall. Grandmaster Zheng shockedly exclaimed, "Is it really the mad demonic breakthrough pill? It's one of the forbidden medicines that greatly increases one's cultivation level." Grandmaster Liu added that even though this drug causes a rapid increase in cultivation, the residual toxins of the pill would sink deeper and deeper into the meridians. Grandmaster Zhuang added that in the future, this would cause the speed of development to slow down significantly. This would greatly affect the achievements of the disciples. Grandmaster Zhen told Lu Sen that consuming this pill was tantamount to destroying these children's future. Lu Sen is truly a fool. Teacher Lu bowed even deeper, bringing his head closer to the floor. He said that yes, he knows he was reckless. But he asked Grandmaster Zhen again to help them. The latter added that the insane demonic breakthrough pill was a pill that forcibly raised one's potential, taking away one's life force in return. If one could remove the effect so easily, it wouldn't be considered taboo. It cannot solve this problem. Lu Sen shockingly exclaimed, "What can't they do?" And he thought to himself, if even Grandmaster Zhen can't cure such an injury, it turns out that for his own selfish motive, he ruined the lives of several disciples. Zhang Huang thought about the fact that when Mo Xiao and the others performed their martial techniques during the teacher challenge, he was able to immediately identify all of their problems. The qi of the heavens path was as clear and pure as water. No matter how incredible these toxins were, he would be able to easily wash them away by simply infusing his qi. Zhang Huang said that he would be able to cure them. Grandmaster Zhen and Lu Sen looked at him in surprise. Huang said with a smile that he would prepare the medicine later. The residual poison should pass with the right pills. Lu Sen bowed to his uncle, thanking him several times. But Zhang Huang leaned over to Lu Sen and said with a sly smirk, he still had one of those mad demonic breakthrough pills, right? Maybe he could tell him where he bought it. Would he be able to buy a few for him as well? If a pill can raise one's cultivation by an entire level so quickly, then if one were to eat more of these pills, would it allow one to raise one's cultivation by several levels at once? After Zhang Huan's words, Lu Sen and the three grandmasters looked at him awkwardly. Zhao Yao, who had been watching the teacher, thought about the fact that he had finally been recognized. From the moment Lu Sen had summoned teacher Zhang, they had been filled with anger and indignation. These emotions motivated them to try their best for the sake of their mentor gaining respect, and now they had achieved their goal. Let everyone watch, this is her mentor, teacher Zhang. The judge said that he would now announce the results of the teacher evaluation. Opening the parchment, he saw that it had "end" written on it. He loudly announced a happy ending, and he thought to himself that he had almost said the wrong thing. It was as if all the students in the academy went crazy and could no longer hold back, wanting to become teacher Zhang's disciples. In an instant, the entire Hongqian Academy was engulfed in frenzied adoration for the new teacher. All doubts and fears were dispelled, and countless students were eager to get there first, afraid that they might miss this opportunity. From the crowd at the gate of Zhang Huang's classroom, someone shouted to the teacher that he hoped to enroll in his training. Would he accept him as his student? The other begged to be accepted as a student. Not only is she talented, but she can help him with housework and making his bed. The third said that in fact, he had always believed in him. Even though she wasn't his student, he never missed his class once. Another said that his clan was rich. If he accepted him as an apprentice, money would no longer be a problem for him. Someone couldn't stand it and yelled at him to shove that money down his throat. This freak thinks that teacher Zhang is so greedy. But if teacher Zhang really needs money, his clan is also rich. Let him accept him as a disciple. Zhang Huang awkwardly thought about how did it all come to this. Just 5 disciples had practically driven him into bankruptcy, and if he took in so many students at once, he wouldn't even have money left for food. He told Zhao Yao that could she please go out and tell all the students outside the doors that he would not accept any more disciples, but he could give a basic cultivation lecture tomorrow. If they were interested, they could come. The girl agreed. There were 3 grandmasters in Zhang Huan's office. Zhang said that it seemed like the eldest had made himself famous throughout the academy. Zhang replied that he didn't expect it to cause so much trouble. He has a request for them. Zhang said with a smile that one is Zhang Xuan's assistant, and they come as mere disciples. As the eldest among them, he can give them any instructions. Nothing would be a hindrance to them. Zhang awkwardly scratched the back of his head and said, well, they know that Zhang Xuan likes to travel, and he cares little about the affairs of the rest of the world. Even after accepting him as an apprentice, they only told him how he should train and made no record of his position. So he would like to ask them to prepare a Grandmaster exam for him. Grandmaster Zhen replied that it wouldn't be difficult. To pass the Grandmaster exam, you need the approval of one of the Grandmasters. Since Grandmaster Yang doesn't care about the affairs of the world and doesn't want to reveal his identity, they will gladly approve him instead. Zhang Huang thanked sincerely. Grandmaster Liu said that in order to pass the exam, there are several requirements for the person himself, as well as one condition. The condition could be a recommendation to take the exam from at least one of the Grandmasters. Grandmaster Zhuang added that there were 2 things required of the person himself. The first was to reach the 7th rank, and the second was to master the state of seeing the serene water surface. Zhang wondered aloud about the state of insight, while he thought to himself that he knew that the second stage of cultivation and intelligence was called serene waterside, but he had never heard of the state of insight. Grandmaster Zhen explained that mind cultivation was something that any warrior or palace must master in order to become better in any endeavor they undertake. A serene, watery state is a state where one is able to concentrate and cannot be distracted from the task at hand by any surrounding factors. Zheng wanted to add that in detail. But Zhang raised his hand, telling him to wait. The guy thought about how he didn't need to elaborate on that. Apparently, he wanted to explain the essence of mind cultivation, but he needed something else. Zhang asked, how can one develop a state of insight? Grandmaster Zhuang laughed and said that it was impossible to develop. It was a gift from above. Liu added that the Grandmaster who had applied the placeless water skin was able to look into the essence of things so well that he could even tell the difference between truth and lies. He would already automatically analyze techniques and strikes. Zhen complimented that it is just like with alchemists, one must possess a natural disposition towards the element of wood. Without natural talent, you can't develop such a thing, no matter how much you try, and thus you can't become a Grandmaster. To be clearer, no matter how incredible a man is, he will never be able to bear a child. Zhang Huang thought shockedly, automatically analyzing techniques and strikes. He had already reached the serene water surface, so why didn't he have this ability? Could it be that he wouldn't be able to become a Grandmaster? In that case, he's just a dead man. Grandmaster Chden took out a small yellow stone from his pocket and said that he had an epiphany stone. Have him take it and enter the serene water state to find out his level of insight state. And if the value on the stone is 3, the person can become a first-star Grand Master. Zhen added that given his incredible results as a mentor, and that Yang had chosen him, his soul depth must have reached a 4 or even higher designation. Zhang Huang pointed to this ruined stone and asked if he could lend it to him. Zhang said with a smile that if he wanted to use it, he would ask for it. However, considering his age, and he feels that he hasn't reached the state of serene water yet, there was no need to panic. Having reached it, he will be able to appreciate the depth of his soul at any time. Zhang Huang gave his thanks. Zhang, he then asked where he could take the Grandmaster exam. Zheng replied that the Grandmaster exam was held at the Grandmaster Pavilion. The closest pavilion to the Tianshuan Kingdom is in the first-ranked kingdom, Tianwu. It has 2-star Grandmasters, and there is a special place to take the exam there. One can also take the 2-star Grandmaster test there as well. Zheng added that if one reaches the serene water state, he can head there and try it out. Since he had already met all the requirements, he could register to participate. Zhang replied that it was fine. Zheng said that if he has any more instructions, he can instruct them to fulfill them. But now it's time for them to leave. Zhang replied that he would not detain them if they had things to do. Left alone, Zhang looked at the stone.